Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Tuesday, January 30th, 2018, and you're tuned in to episode 420 of Marijuana Today Daily. So there's just something cool about that number. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. Our top story of the day is yet another enormous deal up in Canada, this time with Aphria buying fellow Canadian marijuana company Nuuvera for $826 million Canadian, or around $670 million US, in a mix of cash and stock. Aphria CEO Vic Neufeld said yesterday in a conference call, quote, "This positions us to grow internationally and realigns the potential of these emerging cannabis markets," unquote, referring to Nuuvera's established partnerships in Germany, Israel, and Italy. Speaking of his company's broader goals, Neufeld said, quote, "I would hope to show you that in 1 year we have 20 countries under license. This is our vision," unquote. Open up Bloomberg for all the details on this one. Bloomberg takes our second top story of the day with a story about a change in policy at auto parts chain AutoNation, which decided 2 years ago to stop discriminating against marijuana consumers in their hiring process. The company made the change quietly and currently only turns away applicants if they're found to have other illegal drugs like cocaine in their system. AutoNation has around 26,000 employees, so this change, while small in the overall grand scheme of things, is nonetheless having a positive impact on a lot of people who would have otherwise been forced to find other jobs. This is also something other corporations will be able to look at and use as justification for loosening up their own drug screening policies. Kudos to AutoNation for being a corporate leader here. Our final top story of the day is a great article in the Washington Post that takes a deep look at the intersection of drugs and crime within the framework of quote-unquote leaders like President Trump and Attorney General Jeff Sessions screaming that things have never been so bad and so scary and so violent. As the Post's piece reveals, the rising rate of opioid abuse and overdose deaths and its connection to violent crime isn't quite so cut and dry, with the overall crime rate actually going down in most U.S. cities, even as the use of opioids goes up. Given how quickly the Trump administration is unraveling under growing evidence that it's been entirely co-opted by the Russian government, feels a little silly to criticize it for being less than forthcoming about this fairly complex issue, but that's all I've got to work with for today. Another good one to open up for the full read. It's important that we all have a good handle on opioid policy as it relates to medical cannabis. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out on headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, MJ Today Media, publishers of this podcast, our weekly show, Marijuana Today, and the popular email newsletter, the MJ Today Media Newsfeed. We're holding on to today's top spot to talk about an exciting new phase for our little media company. We're hiring a business developer. Things are advanced enough now on the production side of things, and traffic is picking up to a high enough level that we need to hire someone to come on board and take charge of our sales department. We're a teeny tiny little company, so our ideal candidate is a highly motivated self-starter able to get things done. There are a few great projects waiting in the wings for some sales support, and the number of people listening to our podcasts is on a tear. So there's a lot of work to be done and commissions to be made there. This position is a full-time job and comes with a base salary in addition to commission for sales. While as a company we're teeny tiny, our audience is anything but, and it's growing by the day. Help us turn our quality content into more resources, which will help us make more quality content. If you or anyone you know has a strong background in sales, a desire to jump into the legal marijuana industry, and the drive to thrive in our unique startup environments, then you or that person you know need to email me at shay@mjtodaymedia.com. You can go ahead and send me a quick cover letter and resume, and I'll be in touch to talk more. Once again, just email me at shay@mjtodaymedia.com, with Shay spelled S-H-E-A. All right, time for the Blitz. Arizona appears to be on the cusp of passing a new law requiring its medical marijuana industry to start testing its products for contamination. State Senator Sonny Borrelli has tied up support from most of the state's legislature, introducing a bill to require testing that has attracted 78 out of the 90 total state legislatures as co-sponsors. Senator Borrelli's bill would also reduce the fees patients pay to register and renew their status from $150 for both to $50 to register and just $25 to renew. Hop over to AZ Family for all the details on this one. Keeping our sights in Arizona for another headline, we have a new report from the state's Department of Health Services that shows just over 150,000 registered medical marijuana patients in their system. Hemp Gazette has a link to the full report, but one of the more interesting facts is that a full 85% of all registered patients list chronic pain as their qualifying condition. Marijuana Business Daily has details up about 2 large funds being raised in Canada by licensed medical marijuana providers. It's notable that bigger deals are happening so much now in Canada that we're aggregating 2 stories like this here. Whereas if a U.S. company announced a raise of this size, it'd likely jump right up into our top 3 stories. Yesterday, both the American Group as well as ABCan Global announced plans to each raise $70 million Canadian from various underwriters. Alan Brockstein, purveyor of business news over at New Cannabis Ventures, has a good guest article up in Leafly that nicely picks apart some of the financials behind the upcoming public stock offering by media and events company High Times Holdings, publishers of High Times magazine and owners of the Cannabis Cup series. This is one you definitely need to open up for all the wisdom, but in short, the company doesn't appear to be super well positioned for the future of legal marijuana. An interesting article for all, but a must-read for anyone thinking of investing. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com and on our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily. Mona Zhang over at Forbes is reporting on an industrial business park in Michigan catering to legal marijuana growers and processors that just sold out all 10 of its lots in a 63-acre first phase project. This is one of those slices of the industry stories, with the demand for industrial space for cannabis being very strong in Windsor Township, Michigan. Johnny Green over at Weed News picked up on an item in Tom Angel's Marijuana Moment newsletter about Missouri Senator Claire McCaskill's statement of support for medical marijuana. While Senator McCaskill isn't known for being an ardent prohibitionist, her support for sane marijuana reform has been relatively tepid in the past. So her recent statement of, quote, "I support medical marijuana in Missouri, I think it's the right way to go," unquote, is a welcome one. And finally for today, there's some trouble in the works in California over the issue of nonprofit compassion care centers dedicated to distributing donated medical marijuana to patients unable to cover the full costs of their medication. One of the new changes to state cannabis law requires these collectives to pay taxes on the marijuana they give away, even though no cash is exchanged between them and their donating cultivators and patients. Right now, these collectives have effectively halted their work as they try to figure out solutions to the taxation problem. This means that a lot of lower-income patients are having to scramble to figure out how to get their medicine. If you only open up one story for the full read today, this wouldn't be a bad one to pick. Those are our headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Why don't ants ever get sick? Because they have little antibodies. Thanks to our sponsor, MJ Today Media, and to all of our awesome patron listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. How about today? Today, episode 420. That's 4,200 headlines that I have reported on for you all. So, become a patron today. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with Marijuana Today.
One take, Shay. One take.